I can. Thank you very much. All right. So we'll go around and do quick introductions real quick. I'm Christopher Brannon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and Cooperative Information Network, and I am the koha-US president for 2023. And we'll go with Greg next.
I'm Greg Gantz. I'm with the Northeast Kansas Library System. I am our technology specialist, and I work with George on helping keep our folks happy here in Northeast Kansas.
All right. Georgette.
Georgette Rogers. Where am I at? Georgette Rogers. I am with Liberty Lake Municipal Library, and I am the treasurer
Of koha-US.
of koha-US. Yes, I'm sorry.
Jesse.
Hi, my name is Jessie. I work in the outreach department at Bywater Solutions and love all things Koha.
Rhonda.
Rhonda, you're muted.
Rhonda.
Trying to figure out my lighting situation here as well at the same time. Sorry. Rhonda Kuiper, work at the Round Rock Public Library. And I am technical services manager here.
Thank you. Jason.
I'm Jason Robb. I'm the Seek and Find coordinator at the Southeast Kansas Library System.
Heather.
Heather Hernandez, Technical Services Librarian at San Francisco Maritime National Historical Park Research Center. And I also coordinate the koha-US Cataloging Special Interest Group. So come check us out because everything really is cataloging related.
Perfect. Fred.
Fred King, medical librarian at MedStar Washington Hospital in DC. I live in Montgomery County. Emily. Yeah, I'm one of the few people who has a solo, well, I don't have a support vendor, and I will be back in person when I finish eating lunch.
George.
I am George Williams. I'm the Next Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System.
Jennifer.
I am Jennifer. I am a librarian at the Corona Public Library and the koha-US secretary.
Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Lamancusa. I'm the Koha-focused IT specialist at Montgomery County Public Libraries.
And Barbara.
Hi, I'm Barbara Johnson. I'm Technical Services Manager at Bedford Public Library, Texas.
Two more. Bob.
Bob Bennhoff. I manage AspenCat, which is a consortia in Colorado, and I'm the koha-US Vice President this year.
All right. Last but not least, John.
I'm John Sterbenz. I'm the Executive Director of the Detroit Area Library Network and the koha-US Financial Manager.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for the introductions. And it's good to see you all here this morning. We're going to start off this morning. First of all, are there any announcements? I do have one announcement I will add about the Education Committee in a little bit, but otherwise nothing extra to add to the agenda. But anybody else have anything they want to add or announce?
Oh, I did notice that Lauren sent out a survey for the circulation SIG. So if you're interested in participating in that, be sure to get on the Google group and fill out that survey for planning time.
Awesome. It'll be nice to see that get underway again. All right. If there's nothing else.
There's 27 people registered for the Koha Community Challenge.
Awesome. Yes, if you're not involved, we have a link on the koha-US website. Also, we sent out an email just kind of repeating what Bywater sent out, and we do have things on our Threadless account if you want to go check that out. All right. Let's talk briefly about the conference. We are still gathering information on lodging. We had to iron some things out. We're supposed to have a meeting after this general meeting for the conference committee, and we will continue to chip away at that stuff. Hopefully, I'm hoping this week or next we'll get more information on the website regarding lodging and travel. More details. We do have a theme picked out, which will be announced when we get that information loaded on there, and then we will be focusing on getting our proposal mechanism in place so people can propose presentations for the conference, and so we can get a schedule out as soon as possible. So plans are underway. We are moving along and hope to have more information very soon. All right. Let's see here. I do have on the agenda, I wanted to talk briefly about something that had come up. I think it was in Slack. Somebody had brought this up. There is a bug in 2205 about deleting patron templates. Something to do, I don't have a lot of details about this, but I wanted to make sure that it was out there. I'm not sure if there is an actual bug on this or if it's been fixed for 2211, but there is a bug currently for those of us in 2205 where if you're trying to delete patron templates, if the values are 0, you end up getting an error. I don't know if anybody's run into that bug, but just wanted to put a bug in everyone's ear about that.
I'm not sure I understand what they mean by patron template.
I heard this in passing in Slack. I don't know that there's a lot out about it, but patron templates aren't patron templates the thing that we can set up permissions with. I can't remember if it's that or something else. I don't know if anybody here has any more information about that. I'm just passing on the info that I did have.
Is this the issue that came up on in the comments section of the video, the sysadmin video that George tested a little bit?
I don't know. I think I came across it in Slack, but I don't know if it was talked about in sysadmin. And I had this on my agenda for a while, so it's not something that I heard. I mean, it wasn't yesterday that I came across this. And well, if you hear anything more about it, or if you learn anything, please feel free to share with the group. I also wanted to mention Koha 2211 is going to be pushed out to Bywater partners in the near future. I don't know how many of you may already be on it. If you're not with Bywater, or if you're an early adopter, you'll probably get it I think in May. I've been looking through the notes, and I'm still pouring through the notes because the release notes on that have a lot to this version. There's a lot going on with it. A few notes of interest that I had on this particular version We have a new feature to group holds together, and another feature that's unrelated is creating I think it's bundles. Two totally different things. They operate differently, but it's kind of interesting that they push this out in the same version. So that's coming out. Koha 2211 is going to have a new look, which is exciting and also kind of scary, because how much jQuery do I have to clean up to account for that? I do know that there was a bug that affected us. We were starting to have item types for different libraries that had different payments for our non-residents, and initially we had elected to limit those to particular libraries. And when we did that, and other libraries were renewing or editing those patrons, those item types didn't carry across, and so the patrons were getting thrown into different item types. So we had to open those up to everyone. But there's supposed to be a bug fix on 2211 that will allow those limited item types to remain intact if you're editing those patrons. So that's a good thing. I also know that starting in 2211, Koha is going to have a middle name field for patrons, which has been needed for a very long time. Ever since we migrated from our previous ILS, we've had to throw middle names in with the first names, which has been kind of weird on reports and notices. So this will be good for our patron database, and a little bit better in communication. So we're looking forward to that. So those are just a few things that stood out to us on the upcoming upgrade. I don't know if anybody else has anything that they're looking forward to in 2211.
Well, I can tell you what I found. I upgraded as part of my author's catalog revision. Yes, the main staff client page looks very different. A lot of things have been rearranged. You want to stage and process mark records. That is now under the cataloging button rather than the tools button. I upgraded for a brand new feature that I'm very happy with, which is that you can have different screens for the main OPAC block, which is now done in news. So on the catalog, there's the author's catalog, and then I have another screen, and they're all listed at the top. And click on that, and you get information on how I did it. And you could probably put up yet another one. Click here for this type or these kinds of reports, something like that. I don't know if you're limited, but it's really nice to have additional or capability of additional screens. One thing I could see is using it for frequently accessed documents. At school, assuming they're freely downloadable, have a list there, and do other things. I like it, but yeah, it's kind of scary. And I didn't have any problems upgrading. I did have problems with a different instance, but I'll bring that up later.
There's a new ERM module too, which is huge.
Yeah, I remember the ERMs and the pages were both highlighted at the last conference. So yeah, some nice things to look forward to.
The koha-US development also got in this version. We should be excited about that one that we funded. The customizing account line descriptions.
Yes, really looking forward to that one.
Relatedly, I'm excited about the system preference change where you can set koha if it's refunding the charge for a lost item when the item is found. You can set it to refund only what hasn't been paid yet, which is going to make our accounts and refunding process so much cleaner.
Emily went dark.
My automatic light switch. When I'm in a meeting, it thinks I've stopped moving and don't exist anymore.
Anyone else have anything they're looking forward to in 2211?
I'll just say the bundles, you can group together the items. That one's awesome. And then the one that you said about placing holds on, Christopher, when you were talking in the beginning, like placing holds on group of items.
Mm-hmm.
That one is pretty darn awesome too. So Arlington Public Library sponsored that one. So that they needed volume level holds, and that's essentially how we got to that place. So let's say you have several copies. We'll use a magazine as an example of Better Homes and Gardens at multiple libraries. Somebody can place a hold on the January issue, and it'll look for the January issue in all of the locations that have it, rather than having to do something item specific. You can do them for DVDs or graphic novels. Anyway, that Monday Minute's coming out.
I was going to ask, have you done Monday Minutes on either of those features?
Yeah. Well, I did a blog post on the bundles, and the holds is coming, I think, on the 24th. Some insider scoop. Kelly's on vacation for the next 2 weeks, so we just pre-recorded like 3 Monday Minutes. So I think it's the 24th that the volume level is coming.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
I understand the concept of both of them, but I really want to see what things look like on the staff side in setting things up, and then what things look like on the patron side, particularly when placing holds on things. I'm curious as to what kind of impact it's going to have on their placing holds experience. So this will be very interesting to see.
For us, it will be a change in cataloging, because currently we catalog volume 1 on a separate record from volume 2, so that because we don't allow item level requests. So that will be a big difference for us to be able to catalog, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, volume 1 and volume 2 on the same record, and have them holdable separately. So
Can I hijack the screen and show you?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So we did our example. We did a couple examples in the Monday Minutes, but this one is we did for the for like season 1 of Yellowstone. So we have season 1, disc 1 through 4 cataloged separately. And we do say in Monday Minutes, this is totally dependent on how you catalog your DVDs or your graphic novels or your magazines. It's going to be most likely different for every library. But in our case, we have the East Branch that has a copy, the North Branch, and the West Branch. So they each have disc 1 through 4 that's available. So you have a new tab called Item Groups, and that allows you to group things together. So you can control what language appears here when you hit this new item group. So it could be, January 2023 if it's a magazine. It could be volume 1 if it's a graphic novel. It could be disc 1 or disc 1 through 3 if it's DVDs. So you control how that appears. And then when you're grouping together items, you can select, and that gives you a new field here where you can say add or move to item group. And then it shows you which item group is created, and then you can move those over. So that's just a quick view. And then if you enable item group holds, you'll see, who do I have on here? I have to find somebody new. Kyle. It gives you a new option for, here we go. hold next available item from an item group. And then you can select that. So that's what it looks like for the staff side. And then for the OPAC, it's very similar. It'll show them that same like item group field. Where they can come in and place that hold. So like right now we used Missy as our example. So she placed it just on disk 3. So it'll show her that the next available item from the item group from disk 3. So if we come in here and we say place a hold, it says request specific item from group, and then it'll give them which one they want to select. And that'll appear for anyone that has an item group together.
So, okay, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this. So basically, like you have, so you're showing like season 1, but you have all of your individual discs cataloged separately, and then you have them grouped according to disc within that record.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, that is just one example. I'm trying to think, what was the other one we did? I think we did Bon Appetit, maybe.
So what happens if somebody just places a hold on the record? They randomly get a, you know, not necessarily a group within the record. Are they going to just randomly get a disc?
Depending on how you have your circ rules set up.
That was going to be my question. Is there a way in the circ rules to force people to pick an item from a group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah,
Good, then
because that was like, wow, you've got all these things together, and I understand the groupings, but if you just let somebody place a hold on the bib, that's really Russian roulette there with the discs.
Same thing, like here's an example for magazines, which I think more people will use it for this. When we were developing the enhancement, this was the example, was like magazines or periodicals, where let's say each one of your branch locations gets a copy of Dwell, and you want the next available copy, you could group together by, in this case, we're just using the months. So we've created item groups for each month and then group them together by those locations. So they can say place next available for January. And then it'll look through each branch that has a copy of January. You can do it for graphic novels too. Again, depending on how you group your graphic novels.
Okay.
Cool. There's a lot coming in 2211. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm still weeding or reading through all the features and changes. Yeah, there's a lot to digest in that.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, sort of a question or verification. We are getting fed up with the serials module. And one thing I was going to do is just catalog, let's say, the New England Journal of Medicine as a bib with a lot of items. So this sounds like I could have, let's say, it comes out once a week, 2 volumes a year, 1 through 26. So I could have, let's say, volume 300, and then 1 through 26 in the item group. So each volume would be an item.
Fred, sorry, can you repeat what you were asking?
I'll try to. I'm not sure I really understood what I asked. Anyway, as a replacement for the serials module, and we've got, say, a couple hundred individually barcoded issues of the New England Journal of Medicine.
Yeah.
Rather than putting them all as separate items in the attached to the bib record, I could sort of attach volumes?
You could. Now, the other feature that's coming is what we call bundles. So now you can bundle things together. Like, let's say for bound volumes, where you might have had them separately before, you can essentially group or bind them together as one. And it makes those other items non-requestable or not for loan in essence.
It
I don't
just,
know if
it overrides their individuality and they're all under one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, some of ours are bound. We stop binding, so we have bound volumes and individual volumes. It looks like it would work for both.
Let me see. I think I have one in here for.
I guess, Fred, the way that I'm understanding it is that item groups are really for the purpose of placing requests. And item bundles are really for the purpose of checking out a group of items by scanning just one barcode.
Okay.
That's
like
the way
our public libraries, we put together kits of things, and they may have the purpose down the road to where those things can be split off, and instead of having to recatalog all that stuff, they could just stop bundling them and they would be individual items again. But you can keep them you can bundle those things together, individual items together, and they just act as one for the time that they're bundled.
I hope someone is thinking of doing a presentation on this at conference.
This one, Fred, this is an example where we bundled together, like we created one bound volume, and then we've bundled in 1, 2, 3, and 4 into that one. So it makes these not for loan, and then it makes this one a checked out one that they can check out that has all 4 of them in there. Now that's just one example, but the other thing that people have used this for is like kits, like you say, Christopher, or library of things where they might have like a group of like a crocheting kit or I don't know, I've seen everything, crocheting, knitting, whatever, that they can check out.
Yeah.
Good idea. Neat. Look forward to trying to learn about it.
Yeah, this version is really an exciting version, I to say the least. I think, there's I mean, I've got a list of things, just a huge list, too much to talk about in one meeting, but just a lot of neat things, things that have been fixed, things that that are new features. So yeah. Anyone else?
I just stuck a link to the release notes into the chat box.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm not someone else, but I do have a cautionary tale. Bruce Metcalf at the Augustine Society tried to upgrade from, I think it was 05 to 11, and his system's dead. And not sure what is going on. And I sent a reply to him, and mail was delayed. So eventually I'll be asking, does anyone have a different email address?
We tried to get his phone number for you yesterday, but he said the phone line was disconnected. So we actually didn't want him to share that anyway. There are 2 search related ones that I'm excited about. There's one that allows you to search within searches. So like you do a search and then there's a search box that pops up at the top of the search results and you can further filter your search. And then there's saved searches, which I think maybe Rhonda's organization sponsored, where you can go in and like add custom facets to the side. So that has some potential for us, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I know that when you're searching, you know, when you can refine your search, not just with the facets, but other things, you know, maybe get more search terms or whatever, that's going to be handy. Because otherwise, you know, I have, you know, if I'm doing a search and I think, oh, I should have added this, I have to start over. Cool. Anything else?
I'm trying to remember, is password expiration, is that already in Koha or is that coming? I guess that's already in Koha, isn't it?
It's in fact, I have got something, there's a bug that I started the other day on that. I'd like to see it go a little further because, you know, we have situations where, you know, we use a default password. Our online registrations, patrons can create their passwords on the fly, but for people that we do it in-house, when we create an account for a patron, we have to give them a default password, and we have patrons that just use those passwords forever. You know, one of the things that we're looking at is eventually expiring those passwords, but what I'd love to do is be able to expire them right away, and you know, when they log in for the first time, they have to go and change that password. And right now, you know, I was looking at seeing if there was a way I could hack it through jQuery when you're creating it to give that that password an expiration date of today, which works if you create the patron, then you go back in and edit it and expire the password. But when you're creating the record, that expiration date is not there. You can't go and force it to today's date, which is unfortunate. And so it would be nice if in the future that we could have access to that, or be able to flag, you know, patron accounts as you know, expire, you know, right away, so that it forces them to change their password after they have logged in. You know, especially particularly for staff created accounts. I don't care about the patron created accounts where they do it online, because those are already custom passwords. So I'm hoping to generate some interest in that, so that we have that ability.
I pasted both of I pasted the links to two bugs into the chat box. One is the one you created yesterday, and the other one is one that was created about the same issue in 2018. It was created in 2018 and it has comments on it from you. So
something I've been wanting for a while. Yeah. We've used a default password for a very long time, even from our previous ILS, and I would like to see security tightened quite a bit. And you know, I am grateful that we have password resets and expiration now. Although I'm a little, you know, I have another ticket out there. Password reset and password expiration operate a little differently from each other, which is interesting. There are cases where I think expiration works with the patron logging into the account and being asked to change things. The password reset operates differently in, I can't remember right off the top of my head how it works, but one of them relies on an email and the other does not. And the one that relies on an email is limiting because the patron may not have an email. It doesn't even offer other notice types as far as the language goes in what I'm researching on that. So it'd be nice if it expanded to other forms. I even made a request that, you know, if they didn't have an email or text, or, you know, some way to notify them, that, you know, like if over the phone they said, I need my password reset, staff member could hit reset and give them a code of some sort so that they could be the only ones to reset that, and not somebody else that has, you know, a link to the account or whatever. So, or to the email. So they have to actually input that code in order to reset it. So there are some things that can still be improved on it, but we have really made huge improvements with those resets and expirations. Anything else?
Well, there's one in there that allows patrons to cancel their waiting holds,
Yes.
which we've had a lot of different patrons ask for. So I'm interested to see how that works from the staff side, to make sure it, you know, is efficient, and where do we see the information and all of that.
Yeah, that's what I would want with allowing patrons to cancel their waiting holds, is there has to be a mechanism in place to alert staff at that library that the request has been canceled.
I think, I can't remember if it's implemented with this feature or if it's something that's in the works, but I think there's something where you can pick whether it notifies a particular account or it notifies the branch via email. There's something in the works if it isn't already in place. So
I asked about that already, and Bywater showed me kind of the screen that's going to show up, and it's going to, there's another tab on the expired holds to pull, you know, expired holds, and then there's a canceled holds tab. So, you know, when you go to pull your expired holds, there's also another tab that will show you the canceled holds.
So long as it's not just an email, that would be helpful for me, because there's plenty of people that don't check their email.
it's interesting how Koha functions with different things that it wants to bring to your attention. Like, you know, we don't have anything on the homepage on what I call the dashboard built in to notify you of you've got holds that need to be filled. You know, George and I did a video on how to implement something like that on your homepage, but you know, we don't have a built-in alert for that. We do have, you know, patron registrations and if you're moderating patron comments on items, but and purchase suggestions, you know, so we have those three things, but we don't have anything about holds on there, which is kind of interesting. It would, you know, it seems like it would be great to have a built-in about, you know, you have holds waiting to be filled, but also having an alert on that page as to those cancellations. It seems like, you know, those are the kinds of things that you want to keep your libraries in tune with, and I'd like to see that come together in a central location rather than being kind of scattered throughout, because right now we have to go to, you know, holds in order to look at that stuff, or you can be notified via emails. I think, you know, notifying whoever's involved in those things via emails is great, but it would be nice to kind of centralize a lot of these alerts in one place rather than being scattered throughout.
I pulled up the image that Bywater sent. I can share my screen real quick so that you can see what that looks like.
Go for it.
So you can see this here. This is the holds waiting pickup at your library. So the holds waiting page, it's got the tab for holds waiting. It's got the tab for holds waiting over whatever your limit is that are expired. And then you have holds with cancellation requests So that's what it's gonna look like.
It's interesting that it says holds with cancellation requests, because as far as I know, it cancels the hold. It's not an actual, it's not like it's something that has to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd that they put the word requests in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that too. I didn't think of it as a request. I thought it
The
was a
bug
done
does
deal.
mention rejecting accepting, so I think it may actually be something that has to be moderated on the staff side.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh,
In
interesting.
the test plan, it says you can see them play with rejecting accepting. So
I'm wondering why they chose to do that. That's kind of an unusual step, because I mean, unless they're pulling in the mechanism that was already in place for things that weren't already waiting into that as well, it seems like cancellations would be handled differently, whether it was waiting or not. And it's interesting that you have to moderate the cancellations. That's unusual.
Actually, I think it's a good thing because it's like not allowing patrons to delete the messages on their account. You know, the patron isn't deleting the message on their account with that feature. They're sending a thing to the library that's saying, I've read this, you can go ahead and delete it. And then it's up to the library to do that step. So if all the patron is doing is requesting that a request that's waiting to be canceled, then that actually simplifies a lot of issues that I would have with just allowing the patron to cancel a waiting request.
I could see that. I think, unless there's a way to bypass that for libraries that automatically move it on to the next patron, that might be an issue, but I don't know enough about it. But I guess I understand the moderation. I would hope that if they canceled it, whether it was waiting or if it was just the request, well, if it's just the request, there's nothing to really handle, I guess. That makes sense. So it's just the stuff that's actually sitting on the shelf. I can understand why that would need to be moderated then. That makes sense. Yeah, okay.
It does, but if anyway, we have sometimes patrons that email us and say, I need to cancel this request, I'm out of town or whatever. Well, what's the difference? I mean, if you put in a request for it, it's basically the same thing as them emailing us or requesting us to cancel the hold. I kind of like the idea that they can just go in and cancel it and we get alerted that, hey, this person canceled it, and we can just go pull it off the shelf. Just my thoughts.
I think it's the difference between the perspective of somebody working at one library and somebody that has to deal with 50 libraries where they're not going to, where the patron is going to cancel the request and then nobody at that library is going to follow through with the next steps. It's one thing to be a person at a library saying, oh yeah, we have a process for that. But it's another thing to be managing a whole group of libraries where every library has a different process, if they have a process at all. So
that makes sense.
I think, George, what you've explained there is what I remember people giving feedback about. Like, I'm a patron, I walk into the West branch and I say, you know what, I want to cancel that hold, but it's at the East branch. The staff member doesn't always remember to tell this individual at the other location to grab it off the shelf. I think that's what I remember driving most of that enhancement.
does anybody have a bug number
No.
for this whole thing?
As we talk about this makes more and more sense. So
Jason's got it in the chat there, I think.
Yeah.
Jason is just on top of it.
I think there's also an element too of like for us where we do have 22 different branches. If a hold gets canceled in one place, but somebody doesn't know to pull the book off the shelf and rescan it and send it back where it belongs, it's going to be showing up as available at library A, but it actually belongs to library B and nobody at library A even knows it's still there. So I think that's also a really important place to have that check, because we get books marked missing because Koha thinks they're somewhere and staff thinks they're somewhere else. And there's no like there needs to be staff verifying like, yes, we know where this is and
Yeah.
we're sending it back where it goes. So it's not just going to vanish into the ether.
Yeah, again, stuff like this, I think we would benefit from having some sort of alerts on the main page rather than it being buried in another page somewhere. I think anything that needs to get moved along or, you know, brought to our attention should be on those notifications on the main page, at least, because not everybody hangs out in, you know, the circulation page or on the holds page, whereas you may come across it more, you know, on that main page. So hopefully down the road we'll get something like that. At least that would be of interest to me.
Not to put you on the spot, but George, didn't you guys do a couple of your like every other Thursday training videos on like jQuery to put stuff like that on the front page? You seem to remember seeing that.
Yeah, and Christopher talked a little bit about that. You know, I've got a few things like this is the our holds queue, and I don't have anything on this page right now, but if there's a I could switch to a different library. You know, if we embiggened the you know, patrons suggestions pending approval. I moved a lot of stuff up into here that used to appear, you know, down here
At the very bottom, yeah.
Yeah, and Christopher, you know, did some of that too. And so that's kind of what we were hoping. That's kind of what I think Christopher's saying is he'd like something like that built into Koha, so we didn't have to use custom code to put those in a place on the homepage where it's prominent. It'd be really nice, you know, if there was something on the homepage that, you know, that said holds canceled by patron. You know, there's an alert there that appears for that people logged into that branch where the hold was supposed to be picked up at. So
yeah, we moved everything that's down at the bottom over above our news panel, and I put that holds queue up there as well. So yeah, all of our notifications, you know, the patron comments, the library requests or the registration things of that nature all show up in here. So it works quite well, and it's very prominent, which is really nice. In fact, I had recently made a change. In fact, I should have just brought this up here. I had recently made a change with our OPAC as well, because one of the things that stuck out to me, we have stuff that we put in the news panel, and the news appears right above the main content and pushes everything down. We didn't want to shove all of our rotating books down off the screen with the news, and so I've modified our news panel to go over on the left or on the right panel, the side panel, rather than being up above, which makes more sense. You know, it's not pushing content down. And you know, we had the login link up above, so I took out the login stuff over here. So I made some logic to where it you know, detects whether or not we have news, and whether, you know, if there's no news and they're not logged in and they don't have the logged in patron information off to the side either, then this screen widens, it utilizes the full screen rather than leaving an empty side panel over there, which is really nice. And it does reformat nicely on smaller screens, which is good. So it works out quite well. I like that modification that with that side panel over there, rather than having it you know, just shove everything down. Good conversation. Anything else? I do briefly want to talk about committee updates, and if we have any other if we have any time left, we can talk about more stuff. But I want to talk briefly. We talked about the conference committee update. Bob, can you share anything with what's going on in development right now?
Sure. We just had a vote that a handful of people participated in on our most recent development proposal, and I will put the bug in the chat that was the winner. So we have more to discuss at the development committee and how much we can actually fund and how much we're going to look at you know, what our options are for development for this. So it's not like this is going to be, the coding for this is going to start tomorrow, but this is what people voted for. So we will get to work on that.
Awesome. And then we're just waiting for our previous development. It has been slated for a future release.
Yeah.
So that passed Q&A. That's great.
So
glad that finally moved.
And that was one we worked with Catalyst out of New Zealand to finish up the coding on, and they did an efficient job, and we're all paid up on that. So that worked well.
All right. Education committee is the chair is vacant right now, so we haven't been meeting, but I do plan to move that committee along this next month. So we'll get started back up next month with the education committee. I will get notifications out to the group soon about when we meet next. And I just for now, I will go ahead and lead that until someone decides that they want to help out. Again, you know, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Finance. Georgette, do you have anything to share?
Had to unmute, sorry. Just real quick, we have as of March 31st, 82 members, and our bank balance is looking good. Our closing bank balance is $13,684. And we need to file our income tax. John and I are working on that. And we do have a PayPal balance of $119.85. So that's pretty much all I have for you. Any questions?
No
Okay,
questions.
thanks.
Thank you very much, Georgette.
You're welcome.
Our fundraising committee chair is vacant. We haven't had anybody take us up on that. If anybody is interested in that or wanting to help out and chair the education committee, we also have some SIG positions that are open as well. I know that circulation is going to get back underway, and so in fact we talked last week about circulation. We kind of want to rename that slightly. It is still going to be circulation SIG, but it's also going to encompass ILL. We wanted to kind of bring that in with the title as well, to expand that just a little bit and draw in people that have interest in ILL. So anyways, that's going to be getting back underway, but we still need someone, if anyone is interested in leading the we need someone to lead our web instance committee, and then that's just someone that helps guide a special interest group in shaping what our demo instance of Koha looks like. We use that site as a demonstration for people that are interested in Koha. They can see what it looks like for various situations. And we've also talked about limiting access to that, not necessarily to view it, but or to log into it, but we've given some people full access to the site, and we've had some access changes made to it inadvertently, and so we're not going to give people the full keys to the system, but allow people to go ahead and log in as staff, just so that they get a feel for a lot of the general stuff. Anybody that wants to play around with the system further, we would probably direct them towards a sandbox beyond what we would allow with the demonstration instance. The demonstration instance, we just want to set up in ways where we've made modifications or for particular libraries with particular content, so that people can see how things look as if it was being used, rather than just kind of a blank slate system. So that's kind of our goal there, but we could use somebody that wants to chair that SIG. If you're interested, please let us know. And I think, just double check here real quick. We're running out of time here. Where are you? Just looking at our special interest groups page. So I mentioned circulation and the demonstration instance. Yeah, I think that's it. All the other special interest groups are going well. And, of course, if there is a special interest group that you would like, and you would like to head up, we could always consider that as well. Most of these were formed because people vocalized an interest in having a group specific towards those particular topics. So we had another one that wasn't even Koha related at one point, and that one died off. So, these aren't special interest groups that have to be. Our committees are ones that we do need to keep going, but if we don't have people chairing special interest groups, they may just go away. We would like the circulation to keep going, because that is a basic focus, and we would like something for the demonstration the demonstration instance, but that doesn't necessarily have to be something if the demonstration instance is sufficient for our needs as is. So but if people want to get their hands on things and be involved and lead some things, please let us know. Well, we are at the 9:30, the hour mark for our meeting. Before we close up shop here, does anybody else have anything they'd like to add or say?
Christopher, did you ever get the XSL file problem worked out? I
did not. It hasn't been a huge priority, but right now, I haven't been able to get custom XSL style sheets to work for myself, and where the conversation is led requires me to be able to see logs that I don't have access to. So I'll probably have to inquire with Bywater to get them to look at some things that, as I turn things on, or switch over to a custom sheet and see if they see anything in the logs at that point. Yeah, we're just not sure why it's not working.
Yeah, wouldn't be able to interpret anything from the logs, but send me the files. Maybe I can make it work.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I got it to work for my instance. Doesn't mean I can replicate it.
Right. Anything else?
I'll just say, as far as leading the special interest groups, it might sound like a lot of work. It's really not. For the consortium one, I don't really set an agenda. People just come and we have a discussion, and that fills the time. So you're just basically showing up to a meeting either once a month or every other month, and you're just kind of running the traffic a little bit, maybe having a couple ideas that you might want to talk about, and sending out an email reminder so people know when the next meeting is. That's the extent of it. So it's not a big time suck, and it's a good way to get involved without committing to doing a whole lot.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and stop it there. I want to thank everybody for showing up today, and keep those comments and discussions going in our email chats, and we'll see everybody next month.
Thanks, Christopher.
And our conference committee is starting next. So